Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 50 years and a couple of days ago, NBC aired the next episode of the third season of the classic Star Trek TV show called Whom Gods Destroy, and these are my honest opinions about it. I must admit two things about this episode. I think it's really stupid. And at the same time, I really like it. It starts pretty strangely. The Enterprise is delivering a new medicine to a planet which serves as a prison for the criminally insane. Well, this is immediately a problem for me. Star Trek takes place in an utopic future where mankind has evolved into an almost perfect society. But in the same time, these perfect humans isolate all mentally ill criminals on a planet with a poisonous atmosphere, where they die if they get out. Is this considered to be humane? Wouldn't the enlightened mankind want to help them first and isolate them later? An old Asian guy, whose name I can't remember right now, welcomes Kirk and Spock after they beam down and brings them to a cell. A cell which includes the same old Asian guy. And I think it's funny that he 50 years ago looked very similar to how George Takei looks right now. The first version of the old man turns into Garth of Izar, and we get tons of exposition dumped onto us. Garth was once a great Federation captain, who was famous for the Battle of Axanar, and you probably all know about the Axanar fan film lawsuit, so I'm not going to talk about it too long. So, why is a famous Federation captain in a mental asylum/prison? Nothing important. He only ordered his crew to wipe out the population of the planet Entos 4. And for whatever reason, his crew refused to commit genocide, and they rather committed mutiny. The thing is that Captain Garth had an accident when he was on Entos, and the Entosians have saved him by teaching him the technique of cellular metamorphosis. And he now uses the technique to basically change into any person he wants. So he's a shapeshifter. And still he's a human. Interesting. He wants to thank them by giving them the universe, but they say no. So he does the only logical thing. He orders his crew to wipe them out. This is so stupid. You know that humans can't actually morph into a different person, right? The sad thing is that this could be fixed pretty easily. For example, let's say that the Entosians found him dying and quote-unquote improved his body using some genetic modifications or something like that, and as a side effect it would explain why he got insane. But no, he can change form because some aliens taught him how to do it. Okay, whatever, this is season 3 after all. The writer has however done one very interesting thing. Captain Kirk is a huge fan of Captain Garth, so the hero has a personal connection to the villain, which adds a very interesting layer to their relationship. So what does Lord Garth of Izar want? Nothing big, just to become the ruler of the galaxy. At least he knows what he wants to do with his life, that's admirable. But he has a tiny little problem, he needs to get off the planet. And Kirk brought him a ship. Garth changes into Kirk, and calls the Enterprise to beam him up. However, Scotty answers with a chess move. Garth has no clue how he should respond, so he just pretends that he's testing Scotty and he hangs up. And after that we see something wonderful. An over-the-top crazy person played by William Shatner. And it's glorious. When Garth calms down, he starts with a different plan. He needs Kirk to tell him the correct response to the chess move, which means that he now has to try to befriend Kirk and Spock. So he and the other inmates start a feast. Marta, the only woman on the planet, tries to imitate Veena and her seductive Orion dance, and later she recites her poetry. Her poetry written by Shakespeare and Houseman, which doesn't negate the fact that she wrote it too. I love her approach to plagiarism. Meanwhile, Garth tries to get information from Kirk, but when he doesn't want to cooperate, he switches from feast to torture. He brings the chair from the episode The Groved Mind. In this episode it's again a medical treatment chair, and he again changed it to a torture device. And he wants to beta test on Governor Corey, which is the name of the Asian guy, but even though Kirk sees Corey being tortured, he refuses to tell him what he wants to know. Which means that Kirk himself is now going to test the chair. During the torture, he loses consciousness, and when he wakes up, he is in a bed, and the green Marta is standing to him, and she tries to seduce him. Well, there are worse ways how to wake up, don't you think? However, even Marta has mood swings, just like her boss, so she suddenly pulls out a knife and tries to stab him. Thankfully, Spock arrives there out of the blue with a phaser with his hand, and Marta tries to explain to him that she must kill Kirk because he's her lover. Makes perfect sense to me. However, Spock doesn't find it very logical and uses the famous Vulcan nerve pinch to put her to sleep. Kirk and Spock go to the control room, stun the Tellarite inmate who is there, and contact the Enterprise. But thankfully, suddenly Kirk starts to be suspicious and requests Spock to respond to Scotty. And his suspicion was correct. Spock turns into Garth. You know, for a crazy person, Garth behaves pretty logically and systematically, doesn't he? He even gave Kirk an uncharged phaser. Kirk tries to tell Garth to senses, but Garth thinks that he doesn't take him seriously only because he didn't have an official coronation. And during the coronation ceremony, Garth declares himself the ruler of the universe and declares Marta his wife. He even gives her a nice necklace. Oh, he can be nice too, see? Well, when we see the necklace and Marta for the second time, some inmates dropped her out in the poisonous atmosphere. Garth claims that he invented the most powerful explosive, because of course he did, and he gave just 1 grain of it into Marta's necklace. So he gives Kirk a chance to choose if he will kill her using the explosive, or if he should just wait until she suffocates. But because Kirk doesn't respond, he just blows her up. I begin not to like him. Because Kirk doesn't want to cooperate, Garth sends his henchman to go get Spock. He is more logical, so maybe he will be willing to cooperate. Spock waits for them, pretending to be unconscious, and they are stupid enough that they simply grab him and try to bring him to the control room. Which means that they give him enough chance to do a double nerve pinch. They are not really insane, they are simply stupid. Spock grabs a phaser and he plans to sneak up to the control room, but he doesn't know that Garth is watching it all on some sort of security camera, I guess. But by the way, where is the camera located? So when Spock arrives to the room, he finds 2 Kirks. He first tries to use logic to determine which one of them is the real one, but later gives up, pulls up a chair and plans to simply sit and wait, hoping that Garth will get tired and change back to his real form. So Garth instead starts a fist fight, and I must admit that seeing Kirk fight Kirk in this episode looks much more believable than in the season 1 episode The Enemy Within, where you could clearly see that one of the men is a stunt double. When one of the Kirk wins, he demands Spock to blast the loser. The losing Kirk, however, demands Spock to shoot both of them, which means Spock shoots the winner, who of course was Garth himself. And in the end, the order is restored, the Enterprise beams down the medicine, and even Garth seems to react very well to the treatment, which means we have a happy ending after all. This is a truly bizarre episode. As I said before, I truly enjoy it, but I also think that it can be pretty stupid in many of the scenes. I absolutely love the performances by everybody featured here, maybe with the exception of Green Catwoman, who acts like she thinks she's on the Batman set. I truly love Bill Shatner's very subtle performance. Every time he has a scene with Garth, you can see a man who doesn't hate his enemy, but feel empathy for him, and instead of wanting to defeat him, he wants to help him. I also really love Steve Ihnat's performance as Garth of Izar, and a little personal note, I actually had, as a kid, a classmate with the surname Ihnat, and now that I'm writing a script for this episode, I googled Steve Ihnat, and I was surprised to find out that he was born as Stefan Ihnat here in Slovakia. Nice. Overall, on my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 7 out of 10. It's definitely enjoyable, it definitely is above average, but has too many problems for a higher score. But as always, those were just my opinions. Let me know what do you think about this episode down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you have some free time, feel free to watch any of the other videos on my channel. You should see some links on screen right now, and I'll be back soon with a video about the next episode of Star Trek The Next Generation called Loud as a Whisper. Thank you very much for watching, and see you very soon. Bye.